Although Red Dead Redemption 2 is almost 5 years old at the time of this recording, there are many people who are still experiencing it for the first time, and almost all players regard this as one of the greatest video games of all time. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you why you should be playing this incredible title by Rockstar Games. Welcome to the video. You're listening to Phil of Philby Gaming. If you guys enjoy the following, be sure to hit that like button, and if you're new here and haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Also follow me over on Instagram to keep updated on upcoming projects, and please be aware there may be minor spoilers ahead for the main story. So without further delay, let's get into what we came here to see. Red Dead Redemption 2. 10 reasons you should be playing this if you haven't already. The in-game world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is both vast and full of activity. All walks of life continue on with their day-to-day activities. Whether it be the NPCs of the towns or settlements, or the wildlife of the game, there's always something going on around the player. The scenery of the game is epic, from the isolated northern snowy mountains to the alligator-filled swamps of the bayou, the bustling city of Saint-Denis, or the desert regions of New Austin. Every area has its own unique setting, environment, and feel to it. The detail of the ever-evolving world is incredible. Structures will be created over time, such as buildings or railroad tracks, just as they would in the real world, and animals will hunt each other down in a struggle for survival, leaving the unwanted remains of their prey behind. It even goes as detailed as corpses decaying over time as the days pass. The world feels lived in and will continue on with itself whether the player is involved or not. The opening scene of Red Dead Redemption 2 shows the gang fleeing to the north after an attempted heist went awry upon a ferry carrying bankroll into the town of Blackwater. Some of the gang members were killed during a fiery shootout, and the game introduces us to who's left in this harrowing first mission. The game starts us off slow, introducing the player to the characters and mechanisms of the title. The opening prologue lets Arthur Morgan, our protagonist, team with some of the top members of the gang in separate missions, allowing the player to learn something about each of his associates, all of whom are very individual and well portrayed. The entire main story is told in chapters. Each chapter, especially during the earlier portion of the game, continues to allow us to learn more about our gang, such as each member's strengths and weaknesses. All of this is aided by them all living the lives of outlaws. I can't say too much about the story other than it having an incredible narrative without adding spoilers, so let's move on over. I couldn't really state the reasons to play this game without of course introducing you to the character you'll be stepping into the boots of. Arthur Morgan, a 36-year-old gunman and enforcer for the Van der Linde gang. An orphan child brought into the gang at a young age, he doesn't really know any other way. Arthur is cold-blooded and has no qualms about resorting to violence to protect the ones around him, but he does have a softer side too, as shown when he spends time with Hosea Matthews, Judge's right-hand man, or young Jack Marston, son of Abigail Roberts and Red Dead Redemption 1 protagonist John Marston. One of Arthur's roles in the gang, aside from being an enforcer, is debt collector, for when the gang's loan shark, Austrian-born Herr Strauss, loans money to destitute citizens, which often ends in intimidation and violence. Despite all of this, and again, I can't say too much without giving away major spoilers, players will come to love Arthur as they experience the tale of Red Dead Redemption 2 alongside him. For anyone wishing to take a little break from the main story of Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar Games have got you covered. There are so many different activities that Arthur can participate in. Such things include playing dominoes or poker, both of which can be played back at camp with his fellow gang members or out in the world with civilians, blackjack in the southern town of Rhodes, fishing at any single body of water, or even taking on bounty hunting missions, all of which come with their own unique story and characters, unlike the generic type of the original Red Dead Redemption. Arthur can also break horses out in the wild, rob stores, some of which have hidden side businesses, try their hand at five-finger fillet, perform train heists, and even hunt animals and sell their pelts at trapper stores, just to name a few. Doing the latter can also grant the player access to unique clothing items, giving them more of an incentive other than money to do so, which takes us on over to our fifth reason today. Almost every aspect of Arthur Morgan can be customised. For starters, this includes, as just stated, his clothing. Not only are you able to purchase individual items of clothing from stores or trappers, but you can even customise how they are worn. Shirt buttons open or closed, sleeves rolled up or down, pants tucked into your boots or left out, jacket or no jacket, hat or not. All of these can be chosen to suit your preference. Hair and beard styles can be customised too. Arthur's hair grows in real time, so every so often he may need a trim. But not only can you shorten the current style he's sporting, you can also alter the appearance of it too. Favourite moustache or chin style? Maybe alter the chops, or what about the different hair options? Keep it long or trim it down with a fade? Why not apply some pomade to give it that slick look? Also, one of the bigger things of the game that can be altered when it comes to character customization is the personality of Arthur Morgan himself. Through your time in the world of Red Dead Redemption 2, you are often given choices either to be a good person or a not so good one. Choosing either will affect Arthur's honor rating, which can affect such things as different clothing items in stores, the price of purchasables to the player, or even how the NPCs of the world will act towards him. It's not necessarily just the choices you make during these moral dilemma interactions, but the style you play in general. For example, if you decide to shoot up a town one day, the locals are not likely to forget your actions anytime soon, even after you've paid your debt to society. As you explore the vast open world, you may stumble across one of the many mysteries of the game, secrets and Easter eggs if you will, most of which Arthur can make note of in the journal he carries with him. Sites such as the defaced grave in Amberino, the abandoned oil derricks in New Hanover, the occupied outhouse in Lemoyne, or the remains of the giant in West Elizabeth can all be discovered across the map. There are a total of 50 that Arthur can jot down, so why not try to find all of them? There are also many places to explore and discover that aren't necessarily taken down on paper. These are in fact references to the history of the real world. Locations such as Mount Hagen and O'Creagh's Run are references to former actors of the franchise who tragically passed, or there's the creepy Aberdeen family whom are based on the real-life Benders who preyed on passing travellers in the early 1870s. And what about the banjo mutant found in Butcher's Creek, who was influenced by the famous Banjo Gorter photograph? There are so many things to discover, you'll feel like you'll never run out of things to do or see. Of course, during your time as Arthur, you'll learn about each of the members of the Van der Linde gang, but there are also so many notable NPCs out in the world, each with their own unique tale to tell. Some of them can be found out in the wild, while others can be interacted with in a more civilized setting. A few that spring to mind are the lovable Mickey, a former veteran who seemingly lost his mind, Lillian Powell, a socialite who frequents the Bastille Saloon in Saint-Denis and often hurls insults at the other patrons, or Nigel, a bewildered Englishman who's in search of his lost friend Gavin. Each of these characters, plus the many more you can come across with a little exploration, can be interacted with on multiple occasions, giving the player an opportunity to learn of their backstories. On top of this, out on your travels, Arthur can often come across characters who are in need of his assistance. This could be a prisoner who's escaped the chain gang, a gentleman who was unfortunately bitten by a snake, or a lady who's had troubles with their horse and needs a lift back into town. Some of these interactions can often reward the player with goods or information, but beware, not all are as friendly as they first may seem. A particular that makes Red Dead Redemption 2 stand out from most other games are the detailed graphics and animations of the world. When hunting for food or pelts, Arthur, after putting down his prey, will skin the animal in an animation that is more detailed than any other titles out there. He'll also, when carrying the carcass, have the blood from the animal expectedly drip all over his clothing, which brings us to another detail, his appearance. If the player is covered in such things as mud, blood, or sweat for example, NPCs of the world will sometimes comment about this towards him. There's also other animations that some may have missed early on, such as the ability to spin Arthur's revolver back into its holster, spaghetti western style. On top of this, there are countless hidden graphical details that aren't always apparent at first. These include tiny things such as the temperature change when you enter a building, the fact that Arthur will raise his weapon when walking through water to keep it clean, or that his hair and beard will react accordingly to stormy weathers if it's long enough. In total, there are 31 available stranger missions in Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a significant upgrade from the 19 of the original RDR, and they seem to come from all walks of life, each entertaining in their own manner. Without adding major spoilers for the story of the game to the video, there are only a select few I can mention. One of the earlier ones the player can find, as it's nearby the gang's camp once you enter free roam mode, is called a Test of Faith. It's here that Arthur will meet paleontologist Deborah McGinnis and be tasked with both discovering and informing her of the locations of fossilized dinosaur bones. Then there's the noblest of men and a woman, where author Theodore Levin is at a bar trying to find information on a retired gunslinger and needs Arthur to track down other former shooters to tell their story, so that he can enter it into his novel. Stranger missions such as these will have the player travel all across the in-game map, granting you an opportunity to explore the vast world even more. Some of these parts are only short in length, but others can take a great deal of time to complete and will come at you in multiple parts. Some of the missions in Red Dead Redemption 2 aren't as action-packed as others, although they still serve a significant purpose to the narrative of the game, but others can insert the player into extremely heavy gun battles. Remember, Arthur Morgan and the Van der Linde gang are outlaws and criminals, and have no hesitation to turn up the heat when trying to relieve someone of their funds or property. But there's not only the missions to consider, as Arthur can freely create chaos on his own, should you wish to do so. Store robberies, train heists, and fighting with rival gang members, for example, can all turn chaotic in a very short period of time. It basically all comes down to how you choose to play the game. But one thing's for sure, if you're looking for action, you'll find it very easily and very quickly. I wish I could have gone into deeper detail with today's video, but as I see from the comment section in my beginner guide videos, a lot of people are experiencing this for the first time, only very recently, and as I wanted to keep this as spoiler free as possible, there was only so much information I was going to give away. Regardless, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the most vast open world experiences you're likely to encounter, and if you haven't had the pleasure after watching this video, I hope it helped you decide on whether to purchase this title or not. If you enjoyed what you saw today, be sure to hit like, and once again, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on notifications as I produce content on a regular basis. If you guys wish to get in touch, you can find me over on Instagram, that's at PhilbyGaming, where I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game, likes and dislikes, or failing that, there's always the comment section below. Thank you all for making it to the end. You've been listening to Phil, and I'll see you in the next one.